Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we have something interesting. I am not a huge fan of it, so I'll start out by saying that typically in my videos I try and keep my own thoughts out of it, or at least, my own opinions. But for this, I will straight up say that I'm not a huge fan of this decision. But yeah, basically what it is, we look like we have confirmation that there's not going to be any precons, any commander pre-constructed decks for the Spider-Man set. This is very interesting and a decision that I'm not super happy with, and I'll explain as to why later on. But I can understand why other people will be, because of like the feedback that's been given and everything. And this is official news from the official Hasbro earnings call. Before we get into that though, one other thing was the Final Fantasy bundles and stuff. They talked about this and they said, look, just the other day we launched the pre-orders for gift bundles for Final Fantasy, the Commander gifts and gift bundles. For Lord of the Rings, they took a week to sell out, but for Final Fantasy, it took an hour. So they're kind of saying, look, they all sold out. Woohoo, this is amazing. But personally, I don't think that's a hugely great thing, right? Like, the amount of people that I saw on Reddit and around the place that were just disappointed in the fact that they were not going to be able to purchase anything from Final Fantasy. The Precons especially, or like the even the collector boosters, and the price of them is just bonkers, but we're not talking about that right now. Just talking purely about, like, the fact that they completely sold out from pre-orders. I'm not a huge fan of that because there's so many people that have missed out on them, right? Like just not being able to get them because the pre-orders got scalped to hell, and being proud that, there's not enough out there for people. I don't know. I think that's a bit dodgy myself, but yeah, I guess that's something that they want, and they're happy the fact that it kind of sold out. I think they said something similar about the Marvel Secret Lair, about being proud that, it sold out in an hour and stuff. And there are so many people that were disappointed in the fact that they missed out on that. It's just, yeah, at least, Final Fantasy will see reprints for. And so this is the actual statement here. So Spider-Man Precons, essentially, they're talking about here. Now, I think the important thing to note on Spider-Man is it's a little bit of a different complexion of a set in terms of what's incorporated into it. Final Fantasy and Lord of the Rings had commander decks, which usually constitute a fairly big hunk of assets total volume. Spider-Man will be standard only cards. There won't be any kind of precons, so that will make it a bit smaller. So that's interesting in the fact that they said, it is standard only cards. That means essentially, there's not the commander exclusive cards, right? Like, obviously with every set, like the Final Fantasy set, it's a standard legal set, but then there's going to be additional, like, I think it's an additional 100-ish cards that are going to be within the 4 different commander decks. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is only going to have that actual the actual set, right? Like just the actual standard set, no precons to kind of go with it. This is very interesting. Assumingly that means that we're not going to, we're going to see boosters, the collector and normal boosters, right? Bundles, probably 2 different bundles, a gift bundle and a normal bundle. And then we'll probably see, what else? I don't know, maybe scene boxes or something like that. Like there's going to be other kind of products with it, because it said, a different complexion of a set. Assumedly there's something else that's on the side there. I'm not entirely sure. It'll be very interesting to see exactly what it is. So if you're liking the video so far, make sure you subscribe. This is pretty quick news. Like, this only just came out the other day, and came out to the public the other day, and we're kind of sharing it here with you straight away. So as I said, this is a very odd choice, right? Every set for the past few years has had commander precons in it. I think nearly every single one. It started out with way back when, it was like 4 commander precons a year, I think it was. And then after that, they started doing commander precons with sets that were tied into the sets, and it was like 2 commander precons per set, like we just saw with Aether Drift. And then it became, each set was kind of coming out with 4 different precons. Now, obviously there is too much product. I will say that, there's just too much product out there and stuff for people to get, and it's a bit overwhelming for newer players. But precons are just this huge. They're huge for getting newer players in, right? Like, if my son absolutely loves Venom to pieces, right? Like Venom's his favorite character of all time. He absolutely loves the Venom movies and everything. So getting him a Venom precon, I think, would have been huge. then he's not going to have the choice for that, right? He's only just starting out with Magic, so a Precon's great for him to kind of get started, but now he's not going to have that option. And I think that that's the thing that's going to be missing here, is that stepping stone to get people into Commander. Well, it's going to get people into Magic and into Commander, because they're going to go there, they're going to say, hey, what decks have you guys got? And they're going to buy a deck of something before they buy booster packs, if they, you know, are wanting to get into it to play, I think. Or at least that's my opinion. You know, I think that those Precons are just great stepping stone there. So kind of cutting them is a very odd choice. I could understand cutting it down to 2 Precons, but cutting them completely is interesting. Now, they also said, you know, like, it just seems very odd to skip them. So this was something that was posted up today on Marrow's Twitter, Marrow's Tumblr here, where they're talking about the different Precon decks, right? Like someone saying, you know, back then they used to release them once or twice a year, and then they were, you know, tying in stuff, etc. And then they also said, you know, he put up a actual poll here that was, how do you feel about the current number of Commander decks made by Wizards? So this is interesting. Most people have said too much, we should be making a few less. And then after that, it's too much, we're making many, you should be making many less. So like, you know, dropping it a huge amount. I personally think it's around the perfect amount. I think, you know, not last year, I think this year, where they're kind of mixing it up and they're doing like, you know, 4 Precons in this set, 2 Precons in this set. You know, Tarkir, I think, is a special exception because of the fact that it is like thematic, like on theme for there to be 5 Precons. Now, I'm not saying that if they went back to Ravnica, they should make 10 Precons or something ridiculous like that. Maybe combine the guilds into like 2, like have like, say, you know, Dimir and Boros together or something like that in a Precon. But, you know, I think that most sets should come with 2 Precons. The issue then as well, though, is like we saw with Aether Drift, is that some Precons compared to the other one that's paired up with it, so, you know, comparing Living Energy to the Eternal Might Precon, just absolutely freaking suck. So then places that buy them, they're buying the box, and it's got 2 of each of them. They're buying the box. They're selling out those 2 Eternal Mights, like instantly, pre-ordered, away, gone. And then they're stuck with 2 Living Energies that no one really wants. So making the 2 different decks better, I think is better. But that's also something that if they're making less decks per year, they could do that more often. So what then? I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to make you guys Spider-Man Commander Precons here, so that way you're able to just get a list of cards to be able to purchase, and boom, it's going to be a Precon level of stuff, around the Precon price. Even though it's going to be the Precon price, you can expect it to be better than the Precon, because I'm not limited in what cards I can put in there, right? Like, I don't care if like if I'm putting a huge reprint in there or something like that, obviously it's not going to get cheaper because of it, but I can kind of budget it better in there, and I can make sure that, you know, you're going to be getting a stronger, most likely deck than a Precon. You're looking more at like a 3, maybe even 4s potentially, if I can like get enough like good combos. Not so much, like depends on what the cards that come out with Spider-Man are, but either way, I, you know, promise you guys I will make as many Spider-Man Precons as you guys want, because I am a huge Marvel nerd, right? Like, I've got sitting here, like, just to grab one random thing, right? I've got this Doctor Strange, the Book of Vishanti. I got given this by my wife, and it's got like everything in it, right? Like, I absolutely love Marvel, so I will make as many Precons as I can. For you guys to be able to get, and, you know, maybe even some that are higher than Precons, and, you know, like CH level potentially. Who knows? We'll see what the actual future brings. But let me know what your thoughts are. Are you happy, you know, Spider-Man's not getting Precons or not? Have a great day and goodbye.